When 19-year-old Isla Bell vanished without a trace in October 2024, her loved ones feared the worst. But nothing could prepare them, or the city of Melbourne, for the horrifying discovery that came weeks later. Her body, stuffed inside an old fridge, abandoned at a local rubbish tip. How did this nightmare unfold? And who was behind it? Stay with us as we uncover the chilling details of the Isla Bell case. Isla Bell was born on October 22, 2004, making her barely 19 years old when her life was cut tragically short. She was a young woman from Melbourne, Australia, living in the inner-city suburb of Brunswick. Like many teenagers transitioning into adulthood, Isla was navigating the complexities of life in a major city, trying to find her place in the world. Brunswick, where Isla lived, is known as one of Melbourne's most vibrant and diverse neighborhoods. Located just north of the city center, it's an area that attracts young people with its mix of affordable housing, cultural diversity, and bustling nightlife. For a 19-year-old, it represented freedom and opportunity. But as Isla's story would tragically demonstrate, it could also harbor dangerous predators. On Friday, October 4, 2024, Isla Bell was last seen leaving her Brunswick home around 6 p.m. To her family and friends, this seemed like any other evening. Perhaps she was going out to meet friends or simply running errands. Nobody could have imagined that this would be the last time they would see her alive. What happened next would only be pieced together weeks later through painstaking police investigation, CCTV footage analysis, and digital forensics. The picture that emerged was one of deception, manipulation, and ultimately brutal violence. According to ABC News, Isla met an older man in a St Kilda East apartment on October 5th, the day after she was last seen leaving home. St Kilda East is located southeast of Melbourne's city centre, about 20 kilometers from Brunswick. The journey from her home to this location would have taken considerable time, suggesting this was a planned meeting rather than a chance encounter. The man Isla met was later identified as Murat Ganiv, a 53-year-old resident of St Kilda East. Surveillance footage reportedly showed her entering his residence on October 5th, with no evidence of her leaving. This crucial piece of evidence would later become central to the prosecution's case against Ganiv. The apartment building where Ganiv lived was equipped with security cameras, a fact that would prove instrumental in reconstructing the final days of Isla's life. These cameras captured not just her arrival, but what authorities believe were her final moments alive. Around midnight on October 7th, Isla sent a Snapchat message to a friend saying she had found the best Russian sugar daddy, who had saved her from sex traffickers and given her gifts. This message, sent 2 days after she had entered Ganiv's apartment, would be among the last communications from Isla. The content of this message is particularly chilling when viewed in hindsight. The reference to being saved from sex traffickers suggests that Ganiv may have positioned himself as a rescuer, exploiting common fears and vulnerabilities that young women face. The mention of gifts indicates he was using material incentives to maintain control over the situation. The timing of this message, sent at midnight, also raises questions about Isla's state of mind and the circumstances under which it was sent. Was she free to communicate, or was she being coerced? The investigation would later reveal the dark reality behind these seemingly positive words. What happened inside Ganiv's apartment was captured in horrifying detail by the building's security cameras. Police claim CCTV footage captured what appeared to be Ms. Bell being struck and pushed to the ground in the kitchen of Mr. Ganiv's apartment. This footage would become the key evidence in the murder case against Ganiv. What appears to be Bell's head can be seen rising up before being pushed back down by Ganiv's arm, according to court documents. This disturbing detail, captured by security cameras through a window, provides a glimpse into the violence that Isla endured in her final moments. Ms. Bell was captured on CCTV through the same window up until 2 a.m. on October 7th. This means that the violent assault that police believe led to her death occurred sometime between the midnight Snapchat message and 2 a.m. on October 7th, a narrow window that would prove crucial in establishing the timeline of events. The fact that these cameras captured such detail through a window speaks to both the layout of the apartment building and the unfortunate coincidence that placed recording equipment in a position to witness these tragic events. Without this footage, the case against Genevieve would have been far more difficult to prove. Following what police believe was Isla's murder, the CCTV footage shows a different kind of activity in Genevieve's apartment. During the next few days, Genevieve is shown allegedly cleaning the apartment. A subsequent police brief details extensive cleaning by Mr. Genevieve. This cleaning wasn't the routine tidying up of a home, it was methodical and thorough, the kind of cleaning that suggests someone was trying to eliminate evidence. The cameras captured Genevieve's movements over several days as he worked to remove any trace of what had occurred in his apartment. Neighbors reported foul smells emanated from his residence, with flies swarming nearby, leading investigators to suspect something was amiss. These details paint a grim picture of the conditions in the apartment following Isla's death. The decomposition of human remains creates unmistakable odors that no amount of cleaning can completely eliminate, and the presence of flies indicated that something was seriously wrong. The case took an even more sinister turn with the involvement of a second man. It's alleged the CCTV footage shows Genevieve cleaning thoroughly over the next few days before Yaf arrived with a black fridge on October 9th. This second man was identified as Eyal Yaf, a 57-year-old from Hampton, another Melbourne suburb. The fridge allegedly remained in Genevieve's apartment for 8 days before Yaf assisted him to remove it wrapped in plastic on October 17th. The timing here is significant. The fridge arrived on October 9th, 4 days after Isla was last seen alive, and 2 days after she was last captured on CCTV. It remained in the apartment for over a week before being moved. A fridge wrapped in clear plastic and black tape was allegedly moved from the apartment in a trailer attached to a RAV4 by the two men and taken to Caulfield South, where it stayed until October 22nd. The methodical wrapping of the fridge in plastic and tape suggests careful planning to prevent leakage or odors during transport. The movement of the fridge from Street Kilda East to Caulfield South represents another phase in the alleged cover-up. Caulfield South is located between St Kilda East and other parts of Melbourne, making it a convenient intermediate location for storing evidence while planning the next steps. Police allege the fridge was used to store Isla's body. The refrigerator served as a makeshift morgue, preserving the remains while the perpetrators planned their next move. This detail adds another layer of horror to an already devastating case. The fridge didn't remain in Caulfield South permanently. He believed the bag contained animal remains and dumped the fridge on a street corner near Hardrubbish in Bentley. The man then placed the bag holding Ms. Bell's remains in a residential rubbish bin before later contacting police. This account suggests that someone, possibly a third party who discovered the fridge, initially mistook the human remains for animal remains. The decision to dispose of the fridge as hard rubbish in Bentley, while placing the remains in a residential bin, indicates either panic or a calculated attempt to separate the evidence. The fact that this person later contacted police suggests they realized the true nature of what they had found. This decision to come forward would prove crucial in the discovery of Isla's remains and the subsequent arrests. The search for Isla Bell involved extensive police work across multiple Melbourne suburbs. The yet-to-be formally identified remains were found at a rubbish tip in Dandenong on Tuesday night by detectives from the Missing Persons Squad. The remains were located at a waste management facility. The discovery at the Dandenong Waste Management Facility represents the endpoint of a complex journey that began in St Kilda East. From the initial crime scene, the evidence had been moved to Caulfield South, then to Bentley, and finally ended up at the waste facility in Dandenong. This trail across Melbourne suburbs demonstrates both the scope of the alleged cover-up and the persistence of the police investigation. The work of the Missing Persons Squad in tracking down these remains cannot be overstated. With limited information about Isla's whereabouts after October 4th, investigators had to piece together her movements through CCTV footage, digital communications, and witness statements. The discovery of her remains at a waste management facility, among thousands of tons of garbage, represents exceptional police work. St Kilda East man Murat Ganiv, 53, appeared in Melbourne Magistrates Court on Wednesday morning, charged with the 19-year-old's murder, while Al Yaf, 57, from Hampton, faced a charge of assisting an offender with murder. The charges against these two men represent different levels of alleged involvement in Isla's death. Ganiv faces the primary charge of murder, indicating that police believe he was directly responsible for Isla's death. Yaf's charge of assisting an offender suggests that while he may not have been present during the actual killing, he played a crucial role in the cover-up that followed. The charges were laid on Tuesday after police located what are believed to be human remains as part of their investigation into the disappearance of Isla, who had been reported missing 6 weeks ago. The timing here is significant. Isla had been missing for 6 weeks before her remains were discovered, during which time her family and friends lived with the uncertainty of not knowing what had happened to her. Al Yaf, 57, appeared at the Melbourne Magistrates Court on Friday, where details of his alleged involvement in Bell's alleged killing were aired after he was charged assisting her accused murderer Murat Ganiv. The court proceedings have revealed many of the details that form the basis of this case. The legal process in such cases is typically lengthy and complex. Both men face serious charges that carry significant prison sentences if convicted. The evidence against them, particularly the CCTV footage and the discovery of the remains, appears substantial, but the legal system requires that all evidence be thoroughly examined and tested in court. The families of victims in such cases often face years of court proceedings before achieving any sense of closure. For Isla's family, the discovery of her remains and the arrest of those allegedly responsible represents just the beginning of a long legal journey. The Isla Bell case highlights several disturbing aspects of contemporary urban life. The initial meeting between Isla and Ganiv raises questions about how young people navigate relationships with older individuals, particularly in the context of so-called sugar daddy arrangements. These relationships, often facilitated by social media and dating apps, can expose vulnerable young people to dangerous situations. Police allege that Ganiv, a reported heroin addict, which adds another dimension to the case. Drug addiction can lead to unpredictable and violent behavior, particularly when combined with other factors such as isolation and desperation. The case also demonstrates the importance of CCTV systems in modern criminal investigations. Without the security cameras in Ganiv's apartment building, much of the evidence against him would not exist. The footage provided crucial details about the timeline of events and the activities that followed Isla's disappearance. The murder of Isla Bell sent shockwaves through Melbourne's communities, particularly in the areas where she lived and died. Brunswick, her home suburb, is known for its young, diverse population, many of whom could identify with Isla's situation. The case served as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind seemingly innocent encounters. The involvement of multiple suburbs in the case from Brunswick to St Kilda East, Caulfield South, Bentley, and finally Dandenong demonstrates how a single criminal act can affect entire metropolitan areas. Each of these communities was touched by the case in some way, whether through the initial crime, the cover-up, or the investigation. Local residents reported being disturbed by the details of the case, particularly the methodical nature of the alleged cover-up. The image of a refrigerator being moved around Melbourne's suburbs, containing the remains of a young woman, is one that many found deeply unsettling. The Isla Bell case serves as a tragic reminder of several important safety considerations for young people, particularly young women, in urban environments. The initial contact between Isla and her alleged killer highlights the potential dangers of meeting strangers, especially in private settings. The case also demonstrates the importance of maintaining communication with friends and family when meeting new people. While Isla did send messages to friends, the deceptive nature of her final communications shows how perpetrators can manipulate victims into providing false reassurances to their support networks. From an investigative perspective, the case showcases both the power of modern surveillance technology and the importance of traditional police work. The CCTV footage provided crucial evidence, but it was the persistence of detectives and the cooperation of witnesses that ultimately led to the discovery of Isla's remains and the arrest of the alleged perpetrators. While arrests have been made and charges laid, the investigation into Isla Bell's death is likely to continue for some time. Police will need to build a comprehensive case for prosecution, which may involve additional forensic evidence, witness statements, and expert testimony. The formal identification of the remains found at the Dandenong Waste Facility is one crucial step that authorities were still working to complete at the time of the arrests. While police expressed confidence that the remains were those of Isla Bell, formal identification through DNA testing or other forensic methods is required for legal proceedings. Additional evidence may emerge as the investigation continues. Digital forensics experts will likely examine phones, computers, and other electronic devices belonging to both the victim and the accused. This could reveal additional details about the timeline of events, the nature of the relationship between Isla and Genevieve, and the planning that went into the alleged cover-up. Behind all the investigative details and legal proceedings lies a fundamental human tragedy: the loss of a young life with unlimited potential. Isla Bell was just 19 years old when her life was cut short. She was barely an adult, with decades of life experiences, relationships, and achievements ahead of her. For Isla's family and friends, the discovery of her remains and the details of her final days represent an unimaginable loss. The knowledge that her death was violent and that she may have suffered in her final moments adds additional layers of grief to their bereavement. The ripple effects of such a crime extend far beyond the immediate family. Friends who received her final messages, neighbors who noticed unusual activity, and even strangers who followed the case through media reports are all affected by the tragedy. The case serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the evil that some individuals are capable of inflicting on others. The murder of Isla Bell represents one of the most disturbing criminal cases in recent Melbourne history. The combination of a young victim, an older predator, and the methodical cover-up that followed has captured public attention and sparked important conversations about safety and justice. The case demonstrates both the vulnerability of young people in urban environments and the power of modern investigative techniques to solve complex crimes. The CCTV footage that captured Isla's final moments and the subsequent cover-up provided crucial evidence that might not have been available in previous decades. As the legal proceedings continue, the focus will shift from investigation to prosecution, as the justice system works to hold those responsible accountable for their alleged crimes. For Isla's family and friends, no legal outcome can restore what has been lost, but the pursuit of justice represents an important step in the healing process. The case of Isla Bell serves as a tragic reminder that behind every crime statistic is a human story. In this case, the story of a young woman whose life was cut short by violence, and whose death has left a permanent mark on all those who knew her and many who did not. Her memory serves as a call for continued vigilance in protecting the vulnerable and ensuring that those who commit such crimes are brought to justice. The investigation revealed the dark side of what initially appeared to be a relationship between a young woman and an older man. The promise of gifts and protection turned into manipulation and ultimately violence. The case stands as a testament to the importance of being cautious in relationships, maintaining communication with trusted friends and family, and recognizing the warning signs of dangerous situations. As Melbourne and Australia continue to grapple with issues of violence against women, the case of Isla Bell represents both a tragedy and a turning point. It demonstrates the need for continued efforts to protect vulnerable individuals and to ensure that the justice system responds effectively to those who commit serious crimes. The memory of Isla Bell will undoubtedly continue to influence discussions about safety, justice, and community responsibility for years to come. If you found this story as chilling as we did, hit like, tap subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss another true crime mystery. Thanks.